In this video, I'll go step by step, and I'll use FreeCAD, which is an open source 3D modeling software, and show you how to create a solid body and export it to an STL and then print it out on a 3D printer. So what I want to build here is I want to take this standard magnifying glass and just put it in a simple holder so that I can see what I'm doing when I'm soldering. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a solid body, and we're going to do this from the part design. Now with FreeCAD you have to be very careful. They have these what they call workbenches. They're a little confusing to me because I come from a SolidWorks background. You have part design and part, and I've now learned from experience you want to just stick with one because the features don't really merge into another. So we're going to do part design, and I just said file new, and I'm going to close. I have these other ones open, and so we're going to save it first, and I'm actually on version 3, so we're going to call this ring holder 3. And then we're going to create a body. And we need to create a sketch, and I'm going to pick a plane. I'm going to say the XZ plane, and the first thing we're going to do is create the outer holder. So when you highlight as these turn yellow, that would make them coincident, but I want it on the center. And it's going to be coincident on the center, and then I'm going to do a second one. And then we can put in our dimensions. So here are the diameter. So we're going to select the outer one. I have to look at my notes here real quick. That's going to be 117 millimeters. And the inner one is going to be 101 millimeter. Okay. Now you escape one time, and then you can move these dimensions around, kind of put them off there. And then just to see that you can go back and forth, we're going to close this. And so the sketch is highlighted green, and we want to create a solid body, and that's this pad command right here. Now these are the other ones that I was working on, so we're going to save those and close. And we're going to save this one and close. So here is the one, version 3, that I'm working on because I'm kind of working out the bugs. Now the length is not correct. We are going to actually extrude it to 19 millimeters because I've been working on a couple different designs. Now the advantage of solid modeling is you can always go back and you add and subtract and whatnot, so you don't have to have your final design immediately. So what I'm going to do, it's oriented here under pad, and the sketch, if you press the space bar, you can see that, and then it also shows and hides it. Well, we're going to edit the sketch, and we're going to add the parts that I need. On this side, we're going to put a support for a doweling to go into the holder, and on this side we have to make a cutout to make room for the handle of a commercially available magnifying glass. So I'm going to grab the polyline tool, and as it turns yellow, it's going to be coincident, and I'm going to make it horizontal. And now you look, as I go up and down, and right there, see how that line on the red line, the horizontal line, that will be a horizontal coincident. And the same thing with the vertical, this will be vertical, and then I want to mix it coincident there. And it looks like I missed one of these. So this tool right here is constrained horizontally. This should have been horizontal, and we just make it horizontal. Okay, now I'm going to make the total distance 40 millimeters thick. So these are our constraints. We do need to trim this line right here, so the trim command is right here, and that will trim this. We still need to constrain this horizontally, symmetrically. And if I grab these 2 points, since this is 30, and we're going to do 15 millimeters, this is now symmetrical. Okay, That'll put a handle on it, and then you can just close it to see it. All right, so we're now going to do the what's called a pocket. We need a divot in here to hold the magnifying glass. This is really just the frame. So we're going to select this surface and create a sketch. And I've already determined I need 114 millimeter from the center out to here, and then a diameter constraint. Okay. So just to show you how this works, if we're going to do a simple pocket like this, we're going to do, here's the pocket, that's selected, and the depth that we need is going to be 15 millimeters. All right. But what I need is I also need a slot over here to hold the handle. So if we expand the pocket and we go back into this sketch, we can do that right now when we do the pocket. And so what we're going to do on this side is there are a couple ways we could do it. And I think the easiest way is to do like we did on the other side, but this is a subtractive feature. And horizontal, and horizontal. And I know that this needs to be 40 millimeters long. So I've measured the handle, and then we're going to grab a vertical distance from this point (20 millimeters), which is half of it. Escape one time, and then you can drag these off, and you can see these. Now, in order to cut this, I need to trim this. So we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side. Trim this, and then close. And then so that creates a space for the handle over here, a space for the magnifying glass, and then we'll put a lid on it, and I might have to do some other things, but this will basically hold it. Now I need some way to attach it, and so I need a hole in here. So again, we're going to do another subtractive feature. So we'll select this face, and then sketch on this face. We'll do a circle. I'm going to have to go get that. And then you specify a depth. So we're going to, this is green, so that's selected, and then we'll do a pocket, and then specify a depth. And then I'll have to get that. Now before I print this, I need to make another modification. This outer wall is just too thin. So I think I'm going to expand this a little bit and have a thicker wall. I intend to 3D print this, and the wall thickness has to be wide enough that you can get a crosshatch in there. And so we're just going to increase this a little bit and then take a look. All right, now let's exit out. Yeah, and that's a lot better. So I think we're ready to print the prototype and see how it works. So my slicer program requires an STL, so I'm going to select the entire body and export an STL, and then I'll run it through the slicer program. I've imported into my slicer program. I'm using Prusa, and you just export to G-code, and then we'll flash it onto a micro SD card. You can also preview all the layers and simulate how it will look. And I'm glad I made the wall thickness wider, because you can see that I'm going to have that cross-hatching strength that I need here. So while that's printing, I'm just going to go out to the shop and get some materials that I need to build this. It's not going to be pretty. I just need something to hold this magnifying glass. So I'm going to grab a 2x2, cut it to length, and a piece of scrap plywood, and then get some doweling and drill a hole in there. And that should hold it. So here's the final print, and I'm ready to put it together. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below. And I'll also put a link to the magnifying glass in case you want to make one of these for yourself.